behind the slower car of Scott Sharp, and we may see an effort by Herta to make a pass.
Herta looking left and right, looking for an opportunity to close and pass Gugelmin.
Time running out.
73 laps completed by the leader Paul Tracy, 77 the scheduled distance. We're also at the same time tracking another fight on the course, Bobby Rahal and Michael Andretti. This is the closest one at the moment, though, and the presence of Scott Sharp made the difference. Now we're going to come back up, take a look. We're on board with Bobby Rahal. Michael Andretti, 5th place, just ahead of him.
He just isn't gaining on him. He's trying everything he can, but not gaining. Michael, on the other hand, is really trying hard. He's had problems with that car, doesn't handle as good or run as good as it should, so he's just driving the heck out of it.
Well, Paul Tracy in front, his teammate Emerson Fittipaldi in second, 13 seconds back. Then Robbie Gordon, then Teo Fabi, then this battle, Michael and Bobby Rahal.
The championship implications, of course, of what's happened will still leave Al Unser Jr. leading the championship, but Emerson Fittipaldi will move up a good deal closer to him.
Al Unser Jr. currently running in 10th place as he starts to close on the back end of Brian Herta. We'll keep that track for you as well.
If little Al has that upper A arm bent the way we got our report from the pits, he has to be very careful braking, because as you brake, that's a part of the front end suspension that would be easy to fold right then, so he would know that.
That's always a scary experience, isn't it, Bobby, when you're driving and you know that at any split second some vital suspension part on your car may snap.
Well, it's under braking. You have to brake so much here. Brakes are such an important thing, and to have the suspension already bent a little bit really makes it weak then.
75 laps complete for Paul Tracy. There's Mauricio Gugelmin. Brian Herta just behind him, and Al Unser Jr. just behind Brian Herta. Little Al fell back to 10, and now he's closing on these two in their battle.
It's another big day, of course, for the Penske team. Not quite the way it was in Milwaukee last week when they were 1-2-3, but still they have been the dominant team, and their biggest opposition, which was Nigel Mansell, we just talked to him out of the race. I don't believe necessarily that the domination of a series by one team is bad for the series. It helps people that are not involved day to day with the racing to have a good idea of what's going on. Many teams that ran a big streak, like the Yankees and so on, did not hurt the sports that they were involved in.
White flag, one more lap to go, comes out for Paul Tracy. He runs alone, 12 seconds ahead of his teammate Emerson Fittipaldi. Bobby Unser, Little Al, those are some pretty critical points positions, sitting just in front of him, currently occupied by Gugelmin and Herta.
And, you know, however hard that he would charge right now would be determined by how much he thinks his front end is bent. We know the car's capable of doing it, but if he thinks he's got a problem, he can't brake hard, he can't take any chances. That's his problem.
So run safe rather than risk the car just to grab a couple of extra points there.
He's a smart young man. If he knows he's got a problem, and I know that Roger Penske would be telling him what he thought his opinion was of that same situation. Don't take a chance, don't bend it.
You can see the evidence of the contact with Little Al earlier. Every time we get a good look at the nose of Paul Tracy's car, that may be a scar that will come back to haunt him in future years. But for the moment, it gives him a potential victory with less than half a lap to go now on Belle Isle in Detroit. Final set of turns for Paul Tracy. So very close to Canada, and many Canadians in this crowd, so he'll get a hearty reception as he comes down to the checkered flag. And there it is, the twin checkered flags come out, and Paul Tracy takes the win. Today will be the first time that Penske cars have won 5 races in a row. Emerson Fittipaldi comes by in second place, so it's Penske 1-2. Robbie Gordon charges for the line in third place. He is unchallenged at the moment. Roger Penske walks back ready to celebrate as the rest of the team celebrates here. We look back to the start-finish line as here comes Michael Andretti chasing Teo Fabi to the finish of this race, and he finishes in 5th position. So the top of the field, Tracy, Fittipaldi, Gordon, Fabi, and Michael Andretti. And with a Canadian flag, Paul Tracy now takes a victory lap here on Belle Isle in Detroit. And when we come back, we'll talk with our new winner. Paul Tracy with a big smile as he has taken his 6th career win, and Jack Arute is with him.
Well, Paul Tracy, not far from his home in Canada. Congratulations on your first win of the year.
Well, it's a tough way to win that way, but you know, we were in there battling. I was pacing myself, and you know, 20 laps to go. I knew we had to make a move soon, so it's a tough way to win that way, and gonna have to do some apologizing to Al.
Yeah, describe what happened there with your teammate Al Unser Jr.
Well, we got into heavy traffic on that restart, and I was real close to him, and guys in front braked real early, and I just ran out of room and touched his back tire and sent him into the tire barrier. So that was frustrating. I know I made a mistake, but you know, we were able to bring both cars in 1-2.
Well, a 1-2 sweep. Emerson Fittipaldi joining his teammate Paul Tracy here. Team Penske, the juggernaut continues. Emo close again, but no cigar.
Well, no, I really enjoyed this race. I mean, it was very difficult. I started on the back. I had a moment with Nigel because of a slow car ahead of me. Nigel hit on my back. I nearly spun. And that was a fantastic race. I'm happy again. The Marlboro Team Penske did so well. And I'm catching the points. I'm happy. Points are so very important to this team, and especially to you. Sorry? Points are so very important to this team, especially to you. Well, I think so. You know, Jack, is after Indianapolis, I want to really try for the championship. And I was trying to save as much as I could the last few laps to finish. I reminded Long Beach when I broke the gearbox. I was really easy on the gearbox. Well, no gearbox problems today. Paul Tracy continuing to take the accolades here in Victory Lane. And Paul, one quick last question that we want to know about is, what do you think you will say to Al Unser Jr.? The only thing I can do is apologize and offer my hand in apology. It was my mistake, and you know, I'm sorry I put him out of the race, but you know, I'm glad I was able to keep going and Emerson was able to keep going. Gary Gerald, you can't say much more than that, but you're with the captain.
Well, indeed we are, Jack. 2/3 of this team is happy, and Al has gotten out of the car, Roger, and is elected not to talk to anybody at this point. I guess you're the designated spokesman. So already we have heard now from Paul Tracy that he says, I owe Al an apology, and that'll be the first thing he will tell him. Can you tell us, first of all, why is not Al electing to talk?
Well, Al finished 10th in the race. I think that he was disappointed. Obviously, he ran a great race. I'm sure that he and Paul have a discussion about it at this point. Congratulations certainly to Paul and to Emo. It's unfortunate for Al, but you know, this is tough racing. You know, they ran out there together for a long time. The restart, they were behind the slower cars. They're trying to lap them, and just one of those things I saw where I guess even Mansell got into Emerson, so it was awful tight racing.
When you're the leader of this juggernaut that's having such success, and you let virtually 3 men have their way on the racetrack, do you worry about this type of a situation unfolding?
Well, you always worry about having, you know, one of your cars involved in an accident with another one, but you know, you need to keep the competition going. Certainly, I'm sure that, you know, Paul learned something today, but again, I can't tell him what to do on the racetrack. We try to give him the best cars. I'm disappointed, obviously, that we didn't finish Al up front, but again, that's racing. Will you sit down with the 2 drivers, or strictly between them? Well, I think I'll have something to say. At this point, they're over 21. I'm sure they'll have their own conversation.
Well, Roger, we appreciate your time, and the juggernaut rolls on.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to Jack.
Well, Gary, there's also a Team Walker, and they have brought their car into 3rd place here. Robbie Gordon, congratulations. Long day, short day? Describe your ride.
Well, it was pretty difficult to pass here. You know, it was unfortunate that we had a bad qualifying run like 10th, but we came up to 10th, and these guys started up front, and, you know, we finished right there with them. The crew just did an awesome job in the pits today. I went in the pits 8th the first time. They got me out 6th. Next time we went in, we held our position. You know, a couple cars crashed out in front of us, and we passed one. You know, this track's very difficult to pass, but I got to credit Derek Walker and his crew for preparing such a good car that, you know, I just rode along.
Robbie, what's the biggest thing you've learned in your career? Compare this point last year to this point this year. What's the biggest thing you've learned that's different?
Well, you know, we did a little bit of testing over the winter, and I learned you don't have to drive the cars 110%. You know, I'm driving this car 90%, and they're doing a good job. You know, the Penske cars are just outrunning us right now, but we'll get a handle on it within time.
When the Penske cars run as stout as they do, how tough is it on you and the rest of the team?
You know, it makes it very tough, but we're not going to give up. We're going to stay up late at night and try to catch up to them.
Paul?
So Robbie Gordon, who finishes in 3rd place. And by the way, the racing is not over here on ABC Sports. Right after we finish our coverage here, you want to see some terrific racing with a very surprising finish? The International Race of Champions from Talladega. That's coming up next here on ABC Sports. But still, there are more people to talk to here in Detroit. We'll be right back. Back at Detroit, shades of last year. On the right in the hat, Chief Steward Wally Dallenbach, Kirk Russell, one of the officials, Jim Swintal, the starter, and Carl Hogan, the partner with Bobby Rahal. Also, Chip Ganassi has been up in this conversation right at the wall, and they are angry about something. Jack Arute, can you update us?
Yeah, Paul, basically what it is, it's a spirited discussion would be the best way to describe it. And it's about procedures as far as cars under the yellow being waved by. Near the end of the race, Teo Fabi, along with Robbie Gordon, believe it or not, Michael Andretti, and several others, were questioning whether they were waved by properly or not. So it's basically just everybody trying to clear the air, get it straightened out, and determine what they should do next.
Waved by, you mean that they were waved by wrongly, or that they were not waved by?
In one case, not being waved by, in another case, being waved inadvertently or inaccurately. But this is very typical of what happens in many situations where you have to grab the chief steward afterwards and plead your case. For more, let's check with Gary Gerald. Gary?
Well, here's Teo Fabi, and he's one of those who's involved in this particular scenario. Tell us now what has happened from your standpoint. I guess there was a question about moving up or by lapped cars under the yellow flag.
Well, I think they definitely waved Gordon and myself by. So Gordon went by, and I was racing with him, so I decided to go with him, and we went by through this lapped car, but they definitely waved us by.
Now, was there any indication from any of the officials that there might be a penalty because of that?
No indication. I think Gordon went to the victory circle, so I suppose he's third and I'm fourth.
And you are fourth, and that is your best finish thus far this year. 7th in Australia, 7th in one other event. And this was one of those days when things just kind of came to you, it seemed like.
I think it was a good day for the Pennzoil team. I think we finally were being able to race the whole distance with good guy, and you know, fourth is not the position we want to finish, but it's the first step, and we try to improve from here.
Several times this year you've had problems with boost. Did you get your full 45 inches today?
Not yet, but we are working on it.
Well, he's sneaking up on 45 inches of boost, and he's sneaking up with a grin. Congratulations, Paul.
Thanks.
All right, Paul.
Well, Jack Arute did pose a direct question to Chip Ganassi and Carl Hogan, and they both refused to answer on camera. We'll continue to trace this, but Paul Tracy is the winner. The Detroit River, Belle Isle below, one of America's most recognized corporate symbols. The Goodyear blimp hovers overhead, providing aerial views of the Detroit Grand Prix. Gary Gerald now is standing right next to the chief steward, who maybe can clear all this up for us.
Well, Wally Dallenbach, tell us about this discussion that's been going on now with Carl Hogan, with Chip Ganassi, and I know it's about this business of being waved by cars under the yellow flag. What is your procedure?
Our procedure is, if there's going to be a wave by any car, it has to be done in front of race control or the starter. If it's done anywhere else on a racetrack, it's not accepted.
Was it done in front of the starter, and was it accepted?
The one that they're talking about was done on the backstretch.
And so that was not been accepted, so will there be a penalty?
No, as far as the penalty is concerned, they understand that situation. That thing was corrected back there.
It was corrected back there?
Yes, it was.
So you're happy with the way they came down, and you're happy with the way this race is finished?
Well, yes, I'm happy the way it came down. There was some wave-bys down here, 2 or 3 of them, and they were verified by the starter, and we accepted those.
Thank you very much, Wally.
You bet.
All right, let's go to Jack.
Well, Gary, we said at the top of the show that the Honda logo was back with a vengeance. Bobby Rahal, you had a fine ride, even though you were involved in some of those yellow flag situations.
Yeah, we just we lost about 4 positions on the first pit stop, and that, you know, in this track, if you can't pass. So, and we're down on the straightaway to these guys anyway. So it was great handling. You know, the car was super in the corners, but a little frustrating. You get close in the corners, and they'd leave you down the straight. You get close. So the whole day was like that. But it ran strong all the way to the end, and you know, we got some points. I'm disappointed. I think we could have been third, but hey. You know, we're running strong. We're qualifying well now, and we had a good race in Milwaukee, good race here. We'll just have to improve at Portland.
Paul, they're on an uphill swing going to the road courses.
Yeah, and that's great for Rahal Hogan as well. Well, that conversation is not entirely over. Michael is now talking to the chief steward about that wave buys. Here's the unofficial results, and we emphasize unofficial. Tracy, Fittipaldi, Robbie Gordon, Teo Fabi, Michael Andretti, and that great run by Bobby Rahal with a Honda. Then Villeneuve, Grujelmin, Herta, Al Unser finishes 10th, but still, he's had a terrific year thus far. As we look down now through the rest of the field, the entire rundown here with a note that Little Al has completed all but 4 laps this year. We've run 829. Little Al has been in 825 of those. Here are the points as they close on Al Unser Jr. with Emerson Fittipaldi now in contact range just behind him. And you can see there why Michael Andretti is arguing.